welcome back. And I've got something I want to talk about because this is something that I see has happened with a lot of business owners, a lot of managers, and this has affected myself included, still does to this day, but I'm here to help you. We're going to talk about calendar management and managing your time. As a business owner, as a manager who manages multiple employees, the most valuable asset you have, not just in work, but in life, is your time. And so, in order for you to make the most of your time, you need to learn how to manage it properly so you can be the most effective. So that 12 hours worth of work, that should really be 6 hours worth of work, only takes you 4 hours to do. And the reason why I say that is because we can do things a lot quicker than we think if we just pay attention to the time that we're using to do the activities. I'll give an example. An agency I coach, we have a team of, maybe 20 employees. And on this team, half of it's sales, half of it's service. And life insurance appointments have been probably the most difficult project to get them to take a part of regularly. And so we started downsizing from giving them a goal that takes a month and saying, hey, we're going to do a power hour and we're going to condense this down to 30 minutes. And really all you're getting is 15 minutes because we're going to spend 15 minutes reviewing it. So you've got 15 minutes to maximize your time over the next 15 minutes and schedule appointments for life insurance from leads that we already have in our system. Typically, every single person walks out of there with between 2 and 4 appointments for life insurance every 15 minutes. Every time that we do this activity, they walk out with between 2 to 4 on average. Now, across a team of 20 people, you're looking at 40 to 80 appointments. How do we do that? Well, you're giving yourself time to not be distracted. You're having dedicated time and space to do the activity without worrying or having this ADD mindset of I need to do this, I need to do that, I have to take a phone call, I have to make a phone call, I have to do customer service, I have to take this payment. There's no distractions when you just dedicate 15 minutes to one activity at a time. And a lot of times that's more life insurance appointments in that 15-minute span than they'll get in the entire month if we allow them to just do it on their own time. Because people don't know how to manage their time. So what I've done is I've implemented what I've learned from the Dale Carnegie school. I attended Dale Carnegie's public speech courses, had to be, maybe 9 years ago. And the most important thing that I took away from Dale Carnegie and from those public speaking courses was actually time management skills. And what they taught me in this Dale Carnegie course was they gave me a sheet. And they gave me a sheet of paper, and it was Monday through Friday. It was the full 24-hour day, but it was in 15-minute blocks. And what my instructor told me was mark down what you're doing for an entire week. Just every 15 minutes, look at what you're doing and just write it down. Write the activity that you're doing and then the statistics or, how productive you were during that time. And it's a twofold, right? Because one, you're learning to be more cognizant of what it is that you're actually doing. But two, you're allowing to see how much time you actually waste throughout the day when you have to write it down. You're forcing yourself to write it down. And so I did that for a week, and I realized, even though I was a pretty efficient and a pretty effective person, I had so much room to get better. And so I started paying attention more to my calendar. Okay, I know from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock in the morning, this is the time that I have the most energy. It's a time when I have the least amount of distractions. And as a salesperson, this is the best time for me to take advantage and outbound dial. All the new leads have came in from overnight. They're sitting in the system. I can really focus and dedicate my time, especially when I'm caffeinated, to sit down and go through these leads and work them at a high volume for the next 2 hours, undistracted and really, really focusing on what I need to do. So I removed myself from following up with old leads, working my pipeline and things like that. Threw that out the window. I looked at my calendar and I said, this is the time slot where I'm most effective according to the calendar and the stats that I had taken down at outbound dialing. So that's what I'm going to do. 9 to 11, that's my outbound dialing time. And then from 11 to 12, I had 1 hour. And that's when I started following up with my pipeline, 11 to 1. And I realized over the course of a week of just randomly going about my day, however I went about it, before I was a little bit more intelligent about the way I approached my day, 11 to 12, I realized I can follow up with my pipeline at this time. And then from 12 to 1, people didn't want to talk at that time. They almost never picked up the phones, whether it was outbound dialing for new leads or outbound dialing my pipeline. So from 12 to 1, I said, okay, I'm not going to use this time to outbound dial. I'm going to take my own lunch because I need to take a lunch. I might as well take it at the time when I'm not being very efficient or effective, right? And this is based on the data, not on I'm hungry at this time, because to be honest, really wasn't. But need to take a break, and I'd rather take my break when there is nothing else to do. So now from 1 to 2, I'm back. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna finish up my pipeline, finish working through my pipeline of every lead that I have that's due today that I need to follow up with, everyone that I've quoted the prior days that have a follow-up for today. And so that's when I followed up with them. After I was done with that, usually I only need 2 hours to follow up with my leads that are due for each day. And then I come out. And now the rest of the day is outbound dialing for new leads to fill up my pipeline. When you're in sales, not a full agent, right? Like you're not a full a full insurance agent that's doing both sales and service. If you're just a dedicated salesperson and your only job is to drive new revenue, you really only have 2 jobs: pre-sell and post-sell, right? Get the new lead, sell the lead, and then post-sale is upselling your current client. So asking for the referrals, checking in, asking, making sure you didn't miss anything. If you sold them car insurance, make sure you get the home insurance, the life insurance, the umbrella, right? Make sure you're asking about the toys in the house, the jet ski, the trailer, all that good stuff. So that's where your time should be dedicated. So really you're only doing 2 things. You're outbound dialing and you're working your pipeline. Outbound dial, working pipeline. Outbound dial, working pipeline. You don't need to throw a million different things into a calendar to figure it out. Now, fast forward, I'm now a marketing agency owner, and I have a team that I have to work with. I have sales that I'm still taking calls on. I have clients who are still asking me for help. I have calls that I need to hop on. I have trainings that I need to attend. I have coaches that I work with that help me with my business. I have a lot more going on from that standpoint of different things that I need to do throughout the day. And sometimes we miss on those foundational pieces. So for me, I want to focus on not ever straying away from the basics and the foundations that got me here. And so what are some of those things? Well, for me, I think that every single person, regardless of who you are, regardless of what kind of business you're in, regardless of how successful you are, I think that there are things that you should always do no matter what. And so these are things that I have built in to my calendar to ensure that I have the time dedicated to focusing on those things. So what are those things? Let's talk about it. Number 1, reading. Reading has been the biggest driver of success in my career. And to be completely honest, it's probably the savior of my business, if I'm being completely honest, for my marketing agency. Being able to read books from people who have done what I'm trying to accomplish and learning from them. And one thing about me, and this is probably, everyone's different in the way that they intake information, but for me, it's very rare that I can get through an entire book. And it's not because I'm not capable of sitting through an entire book. It's just because I have the mindset that I want to go in and just pick away one really, really good thing that I can implement into my business, so I don't overwhelm myself with too many things to do and too many things to try to implement at once. I just want to take away one really good thing from every book. And if the book is like incredible, I'll get through the entire thing. So like Never Split Difference by Chris Voss. I've gone through that book probably 3-4 times already. Incredible book. Mind Gym by Gary Castavans. Incredible book. Been through it multiple times. Getting at least one thing from a book is usually what I'll do, and then I'll stop reading it and then I'm on to the next one, right? So I don't want to stray away from the foundations that have helped teach me a lot of things that have helped build businesses and the life that I have today. So I build reading into my daily calendar, okay? And that's a daily activity that I implement. You can see I have a couple books behind me. I've got a bunch of books over here that I've got more books over there, right? And some of them are meant to help me come up with ideas for my business. Some of them are just to help get me like in the right mindset. Every book serves a different purpose, right? And so being strategic about what it is that I'm learning is very important. I'm not reading, a fantasy novel. I'm reading about things that are going to help me take my business to the next level, or help me get in the right mindset to take my business to the next level. So I dedicate at least anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes a day to just reading foundations. That's a foundational piece that should be in every single business. I don't care if it's an insurance agency. I don't care if it's, if you have a real estate team, if you have a solar team, if you have any type of salespeople on your team, you should be making them read at least 15 to 30 minutes a day. Put a book club together if you have to. When I first came into insurance working at State Farm, I started, and in the first week, the agent gave me 2 books. And those 2 books, he had me read the same day he gave me the books. And he said, you got to get through these 2 books tonight, and in the morning I'm going to test you on it to make sure you've actually read it. Now, I've never read an entire book in one day, let alone 2. One of those books, it was long, over 200 pages long, okay? That got me in the mindset and helped me realize that not only could I read 2 books in one day, full books, but also I could retain the information that was in there for the next day, even when I was under pressure, even when I was really nervous because I was being pressed by this brand new agency in an industry I've never been in, and reading 2 books, staying up really, really late to try to read it. And then I was worried I was going to forget everything I read. And I retained everything. I was pressed on random questions on random pages in the book, and I remembered all of it very, very clearly. And that's something that you need your salespeople to do. You need them to remember the content. How many times have you trained a salesperson on your team and then they just don't ever implement it? I'm implementing stuff that I still learned from 10 years ago, from that one book. So reading is super, super important. Have your team do that for at least 15 minutes a day. And if you have a lot of sales people on your team, create a book club, choose a book for the month, and read it together as a team. And on their own time, after work, and talk about it the next day, every morning for 15 minutes. It's going to make your team stronger. It's going to make them smarter. It's going to get them more interested. And to be honest, if you're having them just do like 5-10 pages a day, you could get through a book in a month, and you're also going to get them a lot more equipped to be successful in their jobs. And you're developing the right habits for them, right? Developing the right habits in reading. Now, the next thing that they should be implementing into their calendars every single day, or at least 3 times. Okay, it doesn't have to be daily. Let's say 3 times a week. And this doesn't have to be for sales employees. This has to be for managers. This has to be for owners, If you have a business, you need to be creating content. No one likes being in front of a camera. Hell, I don't even like being in front of a camera most of the time. But being in front of the camera is how you build authority with your audience. And if you want to be looked at as a trusted person in your industry, if you want to be looked at as a person that people flock to for information, someone that they trust for information, someone who gives good information, who knows what they're talking about, you need to be in front of a camera. They need to see you, they need to hear you, right? We always talk about like build, like, trust, right? They have to be able to trust you, they have to know you, they have to like you. They can't do that if they don't see you, if they don't hear you. You could try to build that on a phone call, but the problem is that it's not like this. It's not face to face, can't see each other. Which is why I recommend, especially if you're a smaller agency, maybe not like high output, outbound, high activity businesses, but if you're a business that does B2B, if you're maybe not as high output, I recommend getting your clients and your leads on calls like this, on Zoom calls where they can see your face and you can see theirs. It's a lot easier to build that know, like, and trust when you're on a camera. So start building out content and dedicating time and space to creating that content. And this is where I have failed. And this is where I need to be better myself, is putting out regular content. Because for 2 years, I put out probably a video every single day, or at least every other day. I started building a YouTube channel, got up to 4,300 subscribers, and then I kind of just stopped. And I had such good momentum going. And it's because I was just in a zone where I was doing it every single day. I didn't need it on my calendar. And now I'm very busy with a lot of clients, with the team, and I never put it on my calendar because I was just doing it at that time. But now I've let it take a back seat. So now it's on my calendar 3 times a week to dedicate to 2 hours of recording each of those 3 days. Recording content's super important. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm telling you that you need to do what I'm telling you to do because I'm doing it for myself as well. I'm not telling you to do something I wouldn't do myself because now I'm doing it. That's why I'm telling you to do it. So record content so that people can see you. We already know how many videos live on the internet. It would take an eternity for everyone to watch every video that ever came out, but it's about being able to put that content out so that it reaches the right person at the right time when they need it. The algorithms will do their job. Don't worry about how you look on camera. Don't worry about how you sound. Don't worry about your camera quality. The only thing I ask you to do though, and a lot of people will argue with me on this, and it's happened in the past, right? Of it's better to have content than no content at all. I agree with that. But please, 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 for the love of God, stop using scripts and reading it as you record, okay? Imagine you go to see a movie and the actor is reading and this is all you see. Hi, my name is Victor, and if you're in insurance, it doesn't work, okay? When people see your eyes darting back and forth because you're reading a script, you don't look like you know what you're talking about. You don't look confident having to read a script telling you whatever it is that you're trying to convey in that message. There's nothing wrong with scripts. I use scripts. I'm not using one right now. This is completely off the cuff. But scripts are incredible. But you have to actually take the time and the effort to sit there and read your script, learn your script, remember your script, practice your script, and then you record your content. I think we've gotten a little bit too comfortable in this day and age where people have teleprompters and they just sit there and they just read it and their eyes are darting back and forth. They're not using AI technology to keep their eyes focused on the camera lens. And so it just doesn't portray someone who knows what they're talking about. And when you talk about know, like, trust, they might know you and they might like you, but they sure as hell won't trust you if you can't talk about the things that you're trying to make yourself look like an authority in, if you have to read a script from it. So use the teleprompter. Write the scripts. Remember the scripts. Practice your scripts. But do not read your script as you're recording, okay? That's the only thing I ask, because you are not going to ever get that trust factor that is so important. That's the most important part to building authority with your brand and authority with your audience, is if you don't look like you know what you're talking about. So before I end this video, I just want to kind of just tag back. I want you to do the same thing I did at Dale Carnegie. I want you to print out a piece of paper that has Monday through Friday, that has whatever time you start your day, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., whatever your workday starts, to the end of the day, and have it in 15-minute increments. And I want you to just track every single thing that you do and the results in 15-minute increments. And I want you to just don't change anything about what you do. Don't allow yourself to try to create a schedule before that week is up. Just do what you normally do and just track it. And then at the end of that week, then go back and look at it and say, where was I efficient? What days am I efficient? What times am I efficient? What days and times am I not efficient? And then structure your calendar around that. So I want you to do that. I want you to go into your calendar and create a recurring event for 15 minutes at a minimum each day, dedicated to just reading. 15 minutes, it's not a lot of time. Just dedicate 15 minutes. That will change your life, I promise you. And the last thing I want you to do, if you're a manager, if you're a business owner, if you're trying to sell something to an audience and you have an audience, start creating content at least 3 days a week at a minimum. If you could do 5 days a week, if you're just getting started, start at 5 days a week. If you have a little bit of an audience, start at 3 days a week and start putting that content out. And I recommend using a video editor. You can use an AI video editor like Opus Clip, that you just plug that video in that you record. It'll cut it up into bite-sized pieces for reels, for shorts. It'll also add captions for you. You can auto schedule it to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and start putting your content out there and just get in the habit of doing that. And I promise you, your business will change forever.